Everyone, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. Today, this is going to be so awesome. You're going to love it. We are going to do 2 lessons in 1. These lessons are so easy. We're just going to combine 2 into 1. So we'll see how that works out. You say, Mr. Steve, you can't normally get 1 lesson taught in 15 or 20 minutes. How are you going to do 2? Well, we'll find out. All right, the first lesson is lesson 11.4, and it's on page 418. And I'm going to teach this lesson really fast, okay? Now, go ahead and go to the steps. You can look here on the screen, or you can look in the book, and that's on page 418. Steps for dividing rational expressions. There's really only one step. The second step is do the same thing we did before. Step number 1. Invert the second fraction. So in division, let's say you're dividing like 3/4 divided by 1/2. Okay. Well, in division, remember the only step that's different than multiplication is we flip this fraction and make it 2/1. We just flip the fraction. That's it. Okay. So the same is true when we're dealing with rational expressions. There's no difference here. The only thing that we're going to do first is we're going to flip the fractions. Step number 2, follow the steps for multiplication. I'm not going to reteach that. If you need to know how to do multiplication, then you go back and watch the multiplication video again, okay? So I don't need to teach you how to flip a fraction. It's very easy. You just flip it upside down, okay? The numerator becomes the denominator becomes the numerator, okay? Yeah, that's it. And so that's that whole lesson in a nutshell, okay? And so I'm done. I'm moving on, all right? Because I know I can. You guys can handle that. That's not a problem. All right, so let's go on to lesson 11.5, and that is on page 420. This one's a little bit more complicated. Steps for adding rational expressions. How are we going to add and subtract, actually, rational expressions, but we're going to do adding first. We'll do subtracting at the end of the lesson. All right, here's the steps. Now, it's important to understand that this is when we have a common denominator. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to make the denominator common. In this lesson, it's going to already be common. So this lesson's not too bad because we already have the common denominator. Next lesson, that's going to be better get ready for that one, all right? But this one's not too bad. Step number 1. Rewrite the expression in one fraction. In other words, we're going to take all the numerators and add them together on the top. And then we're going to put it over top of the common denominator. Just switch it from 2 fractions, 3 fractions, 5 fractions, however many fractions you're adding together. Change it to 1 fraction, and you'll see what that means in just a second. Number 2, we're going to add the numerators together. Step number 3, we're going to cancel any common factors. Step number 4, we're going to set canceled factors equal to 0. And then step number 5, we're going to write the result with our canceled factors. All right, here we go. 5x over 3 plus 4x over 3. Notice my denominators are the same. I told you in this lesson that they're all going to be the same. So that's good. That saves us some time here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just make 1 fraction over 3. We're going to combine those 2 fractions and put them into 1 fraction. And here's what the fraction is going to look like. 5x plus 4x. We're just going to put the numerators and the plus sign all on top. 5x plus 4x. Okay? That's step number 1. Step number 2, what does it say? Add the numerators. Okay, we can do that. What is 5x plus 4x? Right, that's 9x over 3. Okay, next step. Cancel any common factors. Do we have any common factors here? We do. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. Notice I have a 1 as my denominator, so I don't even need to write my denominator. I just need 3x. We wouldn't write over 1, right? So just 3x, and that's our answer, 3x. I told you this wasn't too bad, right? You doubted me. You're like, come on, Mr. Steve, this has got to be hard. It's algebra. Okay, well, maybe it's going to get a little bit harder. Okay, maybe a lot harder. All right, here's the next one. And if you're paying attention and following along in your book, this is on page 421 at the bottom. Page 421. All right, so first step is to rewrite it into one fraction with the common denominator. So x minus 3 is our common denominator. Now we just write the numerator with the plus sign. 3x plus 4x. Okay? And now we add the numerator. 3 plus 4 is 7x over x minus 3. Now, there's nothing to do here. We can't cancel anything. We can't reduce anything. There's nothing to do. This is the answer. And some of you are thinking, I know what some of you are thinking right now, okay? Because I've taught algebra for a long, long time, okay? In fact, I can probably say that I've been teaching algebra longer than most of you have been alive. And that's crazy, right? That's insane. But here's what we're going to do. Some of you want to do this. You want to say, no, look, Mr. Steve, there's an x and there's an x. Yeah, I'm going to cancel that x and x. No. You can't do that. Why not? Because this is a binomial and this is a monomial. What's the only way you could do that is if you can get an x to factor out of that. It has to be in both of those, and you have to factor it out first. So don't try that. Don't cancel things from a binomial to a monomial. That doesn't work. You have to factor it first. This is your answer. We're done. All right. Whoa. What's going on here, right? Some of you looked at that like, whoa. All right. Well, let's just follow our steps. It's not as bad as you think. So here's our common denominator. So we're going to make a new fraction with just 4x. I want you to get used to seeing it like this because this is how I'm going to be doing it from now on. I'm not going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing it, going down to the next one. I'm not going to be doing it. Like here, I went this way. Okay, I went horizontally. Here, I'm going to go vertically. And so I want you to watch that because more than likely with these bigger ones, you're going to have to go vertically too because your paper just isn't long enough to do all of them. So just get used to this. And this is how we'll do the next lesson and future lessons as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do. All we're going to do now on the top is we're just going to rewrite all this stuff on the top. Okay, we're just going to keep writing it all. We're going to pack it all on the top there. And you might say, why do we have to rewrite it? Okay, trust me, you're going to want to rewrite it because next lesson, see, you might be thinking, well, I don't have to rewrite it. I can just combine it. But next lesson, you're going to need to rewrite it. So just my suggestion is to rewrite it. 5x cubed plus 7x squared minus 3x plus 1 plus 3x cubed minus x squared plus 5x minus 1. We ran out of fraction bar. There we go. All right, there it is. There's my new fraction all written in 1. Now, so that means that we're on to step number 2. Add the numerators. All right, so let's add the numerators. Remember, in addition, we can only add like terms. I'm going to circle them in different colors, so that'll help you to see it. I have a 5x cubed and I have a 3x cubed. So what I want to do is I want to have 8x cubed. Now, notice this is all going to still be over top of my 4x. We haven't done anything. We haven't canceled that. It's still there, okay? All right, so next I'm going to go and I'm going to do my x squared terms. I have a 7x squared and I have a negative x squared. So that's a negative 1x squared. So what do you get? Positive 6x squared. Next, I will do there's a negative 3x, and here's a positive 5x. So I'm left with 2x. Next, I have a plus 1 and a minus 1. That cancels. I could write plus 0 if I want to, but I don't really need to because it just cancels out. 1 and negative 1 cancel to 0. All right, so here's my new fraction. Maybe some of you don't like that, so you want to fix it. I'll fix it for you. That's fine. All right, 4x. We'll center it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, where are we? Well, let's go back to our steps. Cancel any common factors. Well, in order to find common factors, we have to actually factor this. So let's go ahead and factor this. What are some common things that we can pull out of there? Look, I have an 8, a 6, and a 2. I can pull a 2 out of that, right? So I can pull out I'll come down here. I can pull out a 2. And look, I have an x cubed, an x, and an x. I can also pull out an x from that. So 2x comes out. What's left over? Let me erase some of the stuff so you can see it. What's left over? Well, if I divide this by 2x, then I'm left with 4x squared. If I divide this by 2x, I'm left with 3x. If I divide this by 2x, I'm left with 1. All right? And then that is all still over 4x. Now, what I can do here at this point is I can cancel my 2x and my 4. Why can I do that? Because I already factored it out. It's already outside. Look, it's not part of a binomial, not part of a trinomial. It's a monomial, monomial, monomial. I can cancel that. I can also cancel the x's. I'm left with a 1 here, and I'm left with a 2 down here. So, what's my answer? My answer is 4x squared plus 3x plus 1 over 2. Now, my question is this. Can I factor this any further? Can I factor this right here? Maybe, okay? And if you can, you would try to factor it. Why would you try to factor it? Because you might be able to cancel again. Probably not, but you would still try. That one you can't really factor right there, okay? So you're kind of just stuck with that. Now remember, anything that we canceled, we have to set equal to 0. We canceled the x. So we also have to say that x cannot equal 0, and that would be your answer right there. Okay? I told you it gets a little bit more complicated, right? So make sure you rewind that and watch it again if you're struggling to understand any of that. Let's do one more. Now you're like, whoa, now it's really getting complicated. No, this one's not too much worse. Okay, it's really not. So let's do what I said. Let's follow the steps. Okay, what are my steps? Let's write this whole thing over the common fraction. What's the common denominator? What's the common denominator? It is 8x squared minus 2x minus 1. So we're just going to rewrite the whole numerator over top of that. So 3x plus 11 plus 2x minus 4 plus negative x minus 6. Now this one you might want to write in a parenthesis, or when you have a plus minus next to each other, it's just a minus. You could just write a minus sign, because when you have a plus minus, it's a minus. So this one is kind of like let me scroll down actually right now, and let me show you something. When subtracting, now we're not subtracting here, but when you're subtracting, let's say, for example, let's pretend like this was a negative sign. So what does this say? When subtracting, distribute the negative sign, then add. So what we would do here, if this was a negative, we would distribute that. So that'd become a positive, that'd become a positive, and then we add. Okay, so all of those would become positive. The way that we subtract in algebra is the same all the time. That never changes. So when you get to one of these, it's almost like it's in parentheses, and you have to distribute the whole thing. Now, let's go back to the original problem. The original problem was a positive sign. So you don't really distribute a positive sign, but when you put the positive sign next to a negative sign, it becomes a negative. A positive and a negative together is a negative, okay? So you can just leave it like that. The other way to do that would be to put the negative x in parentheses, and that's fine to do that too. Either one of those will work. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to now we want to add all that together, or combine all that. And so 8x squared minus 2x minus 1. That's still our denominator. Okay, and so let's start adding these up. 3x, 2x, minus x. So that's going to be 5x minus x is a 4x positive. And then we have 11 minus 4, and that's 7, and then minus 6, so we'd have plus 1. Okay? And then what do we want to do? All right, now what we want to do is we want to factor. Factor what you can factor. Well, I can't really do anything with that. There's no common factors. I'm done right there. But what about the denominator? Well, maybe I can factor the denominator. Let's rewrite it again. 4x plus 1 over, let's factor this. Let's try anyways. So x, and our signs are going to be positive and negative, and we have an 8 and a 1. So we're going to have an 8 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1. So let's see if this works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then we'll try something else. Okay? Well, when we do the outers, we get 8x, negative 8x. When we do the inners, we get a positive 1x. Well, that does not give us negative 2. That gives us, negative 7x. So let's try something else. Let's, instead of using 8 and 1, let's try to use 2 and 4. That might get us to our negative 2 there, right? So let's try that. Let's try 2 and 4. 2 and 4. All right, so there we go. We're going to multiply there, and we're going to get 2x. We're going to multiply here, inners, and we're going to get, that's negative 2x, and this is positive 4x. Well, we got a positive 2x. We needed a negative 2x. So what can we do? Here's the trick. When you get something like that, the way to do that is just swap the signs. So that one becomes negative, and this one becomes positive. Now let's try it again. 2x times 1 gives us 2x. Negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. We add those, and we are going to end up with negative 2x. There we go. That's our middle term. So those are our factors right there. Okay? All right, now what we want to do is we want to see if we can cancel, and check this out. We have the same thing there and the same thing there. Don't forget, this is a very important part. That cancels to 1. So what's your answer? It's 1 over this, 2x minus 1. But because we canceled these factors right here, we have to set that equal to 0, because we have to see what x cannot equal. Minus 1, that gives us 4x is not equal to negative 1. Divide by 4, divide by 4. X cannot equal negative 1/4. Okay? So that's part of your answer, and that's part of your answer. And if you look in your book on page 422, you will see that that indeed is the answer that the book got as well. So yay, we got it right. Okay? All right. Well, that's all I got for you in this lesson. I already told you about subtracting. Make sure that you distribute the negative sign when you subtract, but that's no change from what we've done in the past. Make sure that you remember with division, you're just flipping the second term, and multiply as normal. Follow the steps of multiplication. Okay? All right. Hope you learned something there. If you missed it, slide it back and watch it again. All right. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.